Russell Williams. The respected military leader turned killer.
Shocking is not a word that even comes close.
Our digital clock in our room on the left side of the bed was blinking. I thought that was kind of unusual.
She was taking a shower. She went into her room and she went to her drawer, and that's when she discovered all of her underwear had been taken from the drawer. They said she was targeted.
I've had a tough time understanding how he might be portrayed as a serial killer and a sexual predator. But now I realize that he's the worst of the bunch. He's a bigger monster than anybody I've heard or read about. And that's what scares me so much. My God, he really is a psychopath.
David Russell Williams was regarded as a model military man. He enrolled in the Canadian Forces in 1987, after graduating from the University of Toronto, with an economics and political science degree. In 1991, he married Mary Harriman. By then, he was a respected military officer, often put in charge of the lives of world leaders. Williams flew below the radar, in a peaceful area of Stokoe Lake, known as Cozy Cove, until a local woman, Jessica Lloyd, went missing in 2010. Williams was picked up in a checkpoint. They found evidence that raised suspicions among investigators, and invited Williams in for an interview with investigator Jim Smith.
Oh yeah, I took every number I had. Yeah, now they were doing some pretty thorough.
Williams appears confident when he walks in the room. But what Williams doesn't know is that Detective Sergeant Jim Smith knows much more than he is letting on. What follows is one of the most masterful interrogations ever caught on tape. Williams may be smiling now, but before he leaves this room, he will confess to murder.
All right. Well, again, Russell, I appreciate you coming in. An investigation like this, I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate it's been big news, especially down Belleville way. And, you know, obviously our approach to cases like this is that we don't give up on somebody being alive until we get evidence that they're not. So because of that, we're treating Jessica's case as an emergent situation, obviously. So we're fast forwarding things that we might normally take our time with. And that's why we're here on a Sunday afternoon. So again, I appreciate it.
Detective Smith opens the interview, not by accusing Russell of wrongdoing, but by acting as though his interest is to clear Russell's name.
I'm a big coffee guy. I don't know if you're a coffee guy or
I am
not,
a
but I
coffee
didn't
guy,
want to drink
actually,
in front of you, so.
No, I appreciate that.
All right, go ahead.
I could definitely have the black.
Williams, visibly excited at Detective Smith's offer of black coffee, immediately abandons the idea.
Started what, sorry?
Gum. Just
okay.
first piece of gum.
When he realizes he will have to spit out the gum that he's nervously chewing.
Jessica Lloyd is one of 4 cases that we're currently investigating. Okay, and essentially what's happened is over the past about 4 or 5 months, there have been 4 occurrences that, like I said, that we're looking into. 2 of those occurrences occurred in September of 2009, and very briefly, they were up in the Tweed area. They involved somebody entering 2 different women's houses in the evening hours and committing sexual acts. Okay, in November of 2009, a young lady by the name of Marie-France Comeau was found murdered in her home in Brighton. And we believe that there was a sexual component to that crime as well. And then most recently we have Jessica Lloyd's disappearance. Okay, so essentially when you're looking at those kind of crimes, we're looking at a number of different potential criminal charges. All right, we're looking at issues all the way from the most serious one, which is first-degree murder, kidnapping, sexual assault, break and enter with intent to commit sexual assault, forcible confinement, okay? And so what I want to make sure you understand, and this is what we've been doing with everybody we've been talking to, is that clearly when we find out who's responsible for one or all of those crimes, they could be charged with one or all of those offenses, okay? Whether it's you or whether it's anybody else, all right?
Absolutely.
And that's why it's important that we make sure that people understand what they have to do and what they don't have to do when they're talking to us, okay? So as I said before, any point today you feel the need, you want to speak to a lawyer, you let me know, and we can take you to a room where you can do that in private, okay?
Okay.
Do you have your own lawyer?
I have a realty lawyer, but
Okay.
no, I don't have a lawyer.
All right.
Understood. These first two attacks happened not that far from my place in Tweed. Well, the second one did.
Yeah.
We didn't even know the first one had happened, but I understand that was reasonably close as well. But the second one was very close.
Yeah.
So certainly at the time, the OPP did a door-to-door.
Yeah.
Within a couple of days, probably the same night. So I spoke with a couple of guys then.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm aware of that from looking at the different cases. And essentially, Russell, in a nutshell, that's what we wanted to talk to you about. Okay. Those 4 cases are of concern to us, and you know, you've kind of almost hit the nail on the head about some of our issues that kind of make us want to talk to Russell Williams. Okay. Because essentially, there's a connection between you and all 4 of those cases. Would you agree? Geographically,
And then I guess
or,
I drive past. Yes, I would
Yeah.
have to say there's a connection. Yeah.
yeah, and that's why I'll be quite frank with you. That's why things kind of evolved when the officers talked to you on Thursday night.
Okay.
We kind of went from there because when I think you discussed with them the fact that you were a colonel at the base.
I was in uniform at the time, so.
Yeah, so pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, then the connection with Miss Comeau was made, and I believe you're a door or 2 down from one of those 2 incidents
I think
in Tweed.
3 doors down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very close. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So those are some of the issues we wanted to discuss with you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take you to a date that's probably pretty fresh in your mind. The day that Marie Franz Comeau.
Yeah.
Do you remember how you found out?
I do.
This is the night he killed Marie France Comeau. Williams had met her at the military base, and become obsessed with her. He'd broken into her house before, trying on several pairs of her undergarments. That night, Russell arrived in Brighton. He shut off his BlackBerry and snuck in the window of Comeau's house. He crept quietly downstairs by the furnace and waited for Comeau to go to sleep. But when she couldn't find one of her cats, she went searching the house. She found the cat staring at a figure in the dark. It was Williams.
And how did you know Marie France Comeau?
I'd only met her once.
Williams' speech has grown so quiet, he is nearly inaudible.
Just after I got to the base.
Okay.
So I can't even remember. I think it was a 1-day trip. I did a number of trips.
Now that Williams is talking, Detective Sergeant Smith begins closing in.
What would you be willing to give me today to help me move past you in this investigation?
What do you need?
Well, would you be willing to supply things like fingerprints, blood samples,
Sure.
things like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Footwear impressions?
Yeah.
Williams appears to realize he has worn the same boots to his interrogation that he had on when he kidnapped and murdered Jessica Lloyd.
Okay. All right. I think that's what we're gonna ask you to do.
Okay.
All right. Now we have a process we have to go through to do that.
Okay.
And for the blood sample, I don't take the blood sample. We have specially trained officers that are trained to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to step out and make sure they're still available.
Can I assume you're going to be discreet?
It's possible. Yeah.
Because this would have a very significant impact on the base if they thought you thought I did this.
Well, bottom line, Russell, that's one of the reasons we're here on a Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
The military certainly be of great assistance to to us, especially in relation to Ms. Comeau's investigation. So that's certainly one of the things that went into our decision to give you a call at home today and see if we could deal with this today.
Okay.
So, okay.
Because it's tough to undo the rumor mill once it gets started.
Is there anything that you're concerned about that buccal swab matching in any of those 4 residences? Is there, I guess, let me explain what I'm getting at here, Russell, okay? This is a significant investigation, as you can well imagine.
Yeah.
That DNA is going to be significant in our investigation, both quite possibly to help you, quite possibly to help us.
Understood.
I don't know yet. I don't know what the result is yet. And I'll go back to the example I gave you because it's a very similar issue, I think. And you talked about the idea of discretion here. Okay. You talked about the idea that I think hopefully you appreciate the fact of how we approached you here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And essentially, we have no issues with that. Okay. We talked recently about the whole idea of any unusual sex acts in your history. But another thing that can often happen in cases like this is that people become concerned about things like extramarital affairs, indiscretions along those lines. Is there any contact that you may have had with any of those 4 women that you may not want your wife to be aware of? Anything like that that we should know about to try and explain why, if your DNA is found, it would help us understand why it may be there?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Can you think of any reason why we would find your DNA in any of those residences?
There's the woman down the road, 3 doors down.
Yep.
Her name is Lori. I don't know her last name. We met her once, I think the first summer we were there, so in 04.
What about the other lady down the road on?
I hadn't even heard that name, so no, I don't actually know who that was.
Okay. Have you ever visited Marie France Comeau at her residence?
No.
Okay. All right. So you're quite positive there would be no reason why your DNA would be in any of those 3 locations. Okay. Did you know Jessica Lloyd even in passing for any reason?
No, I didn't hear her name till it was on the news.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking that is because I know you were asked that question on Thursday night, and sometimes what we find, and again, this is one of those situations that can sometimes cause us to get in a lengthy investigation as somebody that maybe doesn't deserve it. But what can happen sometimes is somebody gets stopped by the police like you did, and they get asked that question, and people, when they're stopped by the police, they can be nervous, okay? So they blurt out an answer, and then they start driving away, and they go, oh, why did I do that? Because the problem is that once they get asked again, then they feel compelled to maintain that answer for fear that if they change their answer, somebody could find it. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay. So I want to make sure that's not happening here. I don't care what you said to the officers on Thursday night last week. If there's any communication or contact between you and Jessica Lloyd, you've seen her picture, right, around town?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Ever seen her before?
I don't. No, I would say I have not.
Okay. All right. All right. And you mentioned something about doing some renovations at your property in Tweed there. I think you said something earlier about tearing up carpet. Correct me if I'm wrong, but.
Oh yeah.
Detective Sergeant Smith has just masterfully locked Williams into a denial. Once his DNA is matched to the crime scene, he has left himself no innocent way to explain how it got there. In a sense, Williams has already confessed.
What kind of tires do you have on your Pathfinder?
I think they're Toyo.
Okay. Do you know the brand name, or sorry,
I
the
think that
make?
is I don't. Sorry, the make is Toyo.
Yeah.
I don't know the model.
Okay. Ever heard of, does Toyo Open Country HTS
Yeah, that sounds
make any
right.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you have those tires put on your Pathfinder?
Well, it's the second version we've had of them, so I think it might have been this past fall. They replaced other ones we'd had on the same
Okay.
Well, Toyo, I can't say that they were exactly the same model, but our dealership here in Ottawa says they're very popular for the Pathfinders.
Okay.
And they were good. They lasted a long time.
All right. I've had to. I think you were talking about the whole idea of the MPs helping us with our investigation,
Mhm.
stuff like this. You have the same system as we do at our headquarters with the swipe cards.
Mhm.
One of the things one of our investigators did is they made a call while I was talking to you there because we were trying to work through that week of the 23rd of November.
Okay.
23rd being the Monday, 24th being the Tuesday.
Okay.
What they've told us is that, and I want to make sure I get this right, is that on the 23rd, your swipe card was being used at the base. Okay.
Okay.
On Tuesday 24th, there was no use of your swipe card.
Okay.
And then on the following days, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there was what appeared to be average activity of your
Okay.
swipe card in the base. Does that make sense to you?
It does. That says that I was in Ottawa on the Tuesday.
Okay. Do you remember where in Ottawa you were?
Yeah, I was in Gatineau with, as I said, meeting about the C-17.
Okay. Now, again, I want to be fair to you here. We're going back 2 months.
Yeah.
Are you sure that would have been the day you were in Ottawa?
Well, only because I wasn't at the base.
Okay.
So I can't remember, honestly, that's the day I had the meeting in Ottawa, but if I wasn't at the base, it was because I was here.
Okay. Now, if that is the day you had a meeting in Ottawa, do you remember being at the base on the Monday, the 23rd, and swiping your card in and out? Do you remember what you would have done that evening to get to Ottawa for that meeting? Like, would it be...
I drove to Ottawa in the morning of the day of my meeting, so if it was the Tuesday, then I would have left Tweed. It was a very foggy morning
Okay.
that morning. And I drove in that morning.
Okay.
So I would not have been at the base the day I was in Ottawa, because the meeting started at 8:30 or something.
Okay. So you leave the base, you would have went home to your residence in Tweed,
Yep.
and then you left Tweed in the morning and drove up to your meeting in Ottawa.
Yep.
Okay. You leave the meeting in Ottawa is a daytime meeting, evening meeting, or do you remember?
Yeah, it was a daytime meeting, finished, I don't know, mid-afternoon or so.
Okay.
We had lunch and then finished. I think my wife and I had dinner because she was here for work, and then I headed back.
Okay. Well, these are the kind of things I'm trying to draw out here. That's helpful to us. Do you remember where you had dinner?
Well, I don't remember exactly the restaurant, but it was in Westboro because that's where our house was being built at the time. So we had dinner, in a restaurant that we would expect to be able to frequent once the house was finished.
Okay. Remember how you paid?
One of us would have paid by MasterCard.
Okay. Are you sure about that, or?
Pretty sure. That's normally how we
Okay.
pay for meals.
All right.
Can't remember if it was me or my wife that paid, but one of us.
Okay. And do you remember which restaurant it was again?
No.
All right. And you see what I'm getting at, right? I mean, that can be very helpful for us because if we can track
Yeah.
that issue, right?
Yeah.
We can put somebody paying for a meal at a location.
Well,
with a
I was
credit card.
meeting with 15 people or so that day. So
Okay. And what time did the meeting end?
I would say between 3 and 4.
Okay. And are you sure that that's the same day you went out with your wife?
Well, I think so. Yeah, because she was here, and I think that was the day we went to this restaurant in Westboro. Yes.
Okay. You finished dinner, and do you remember what you did that evening?
I would have driven back to Tweed.
Okay. And you would have... Now, again, I know we're talking 2 months ago here, but do you
Yeah.
remember specifically having dinner and then driving back to Tweed, or do you remember... are you just guessing here?
No, I'm not really guessing. I mean, I believe that this night at this restaurant was following the meetings in Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
And I, kissed my wife goodbye and headed back to Tweed to go to work the next day.
Okay. All right. The tires that you have on your truck, right? The reason I asked you about that is there any time? I mean, you recall where you were stopped by the officers there?
Yes.
Okay. Did they explain to you what the significance
Said
of the
that was her
location?
house.
That was her house.
Yeah.
Okay. So you remember that location?
Yep.
Do you remember what the crossroad was, or?
I don't think there was a crossroad. It's sort of just on the south end of 37.
Okay. When you get stopped at that location, has there been a time in the recent 1 or 2 weeks that your vehicle has left that road for any reason whatsoever? Have you driven into a field with your vehicle at all? For any reason you can think of?
No.
Okay. Because I want you to rack your brain here. This is important. So,
Yeah.
is there anything you can remember doing that would have caused you to drive off the road
No.
at that section of roadway?
No. That's my early. That's the early part of the highway, and just head north. It's about 30 minutes from there to. Probably 20 from there to my house.
Okay. Would it surprise you to know that when the CSI officers were looking around her property, that they identified a set of tire tracks to the north of her property? Looks as if the vehicle left the road and drove along the north tree line of Jessica Lloyd's property. Okay.
Okay.
They took they examined those tire tracks, and they have contacts in the tire business. Obviously, tire tracks are a major source of evidence for us.
Sure.
Shortly after this investigation started, they identified those tires as the same tires on your Pathfinder.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. One of the other things that they do to try and identify the type of vehicle that may have left those tires, well, is they do two things. They talk to witnesses. Okay. There was a female police officer that actually drove by that location that evening and recalls seeing an SUV type vehicle in the field to the north of Jessica Lloyd's house, consistent with a Pathfinder.
Okay.
Could maybe consistent with other things, but consistent with a Pathfinder. Your Pathfinder's wheelbase width is very, very close to the width of the tires that were left in that field. Okay. Do you have any recollection at all of being off that road?
I was not off the road, no.
Okay. All right. Russell, is there anything you can think of? Let's go talk about Marie-France Comeau for a minute, okay? Is there any reason at all you can think of that during our investigation, obviously we're searching computers, things like Blackberries, right? Electronic devices, looking through houses for things that are in handwriting, written notes, diaries, things like that. Now, I'm not at liberty to tell you what the content was, but is there any reason at all you can think of why Marie-France Comeau would have specifically referenced you in some of her writings?
Not at all.
No?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Is there anything that she ever said to you that led you to believe that there might be something more than a passing interest with her towards you?
Not at all. No, we spent, one flight together talking. I'd go back occasionally and talk. No, if that's the case, that's very surprising.
Okay. All right. You have any questions for me right now?
No.
Okay. I'm just going to step out and see how things are going, okay?
Okay.
I mean, it is a Sunday, but there's probably 60, 70 people working on this file, so there's a lot of things happening.
Sure.
So let me go out and see what's happening, and then I'll come back in and we'll hopefully continue, okay? I told you when I came in here that I'm going to treat you with respect, and I've asked you to do the same for me. We talked about the whole idea of how we've approached you here, okay? The trying to be as discreet as possible, okay? But the problem is, Russell, is every time I walk out of this room, there's another issue that comes up, okay? And it's not issues that point away from you, it's issues that point at you, okay? And I want you to see what I mean, all right? This is the footwear impression of the person who approached the rear of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January.
Yeah.
Okay? All right? Now, I want you to keep in mind that this is slightly smaller, okay, in scale. Okay?
Okay.
All right? That's not to scale. The footwear is actually bigger.
Okay.
If you look here on the ruler, you'll see that 1 inch is just slightly smaller than an actual inch, okay? But this is the way it prints off on the computer.
Yeah.
I'm going to move this over so you can see what I mean, all right? Because essentially when you're dealing with footwear impressions, we have a gentleman on the OPP who's basically world-renowned. His name is John Norman.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially with footwear impressions, you're in a situation where you're pretty much in the area of fingerprints, okay? And essentially what we're talking about here is, especially when you start adding in other pieces of information that support an investigative position, okay? This is a photocopy of the boot that you took off your foot just a little while ago, okay? Now, I'm not an expert in footwear impressions, so I rely on the experts. Footwear impressions are very much like fingerprint comparisons, okay? You take a look at this print, and again, this is one print. This person walked through, there's several different prints to compare, so we're going to get features off of one print to compare, features off another print to compare. These are identical.
Reality is starting to sink in. There is no way out now.
Your vehicle drove up the side of Jessica Lloyd's house. Your boots walked to the back of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January. Okay? You want discretion. We need to have some honesty, okay? Because this is getting out of control really fast, Russell. Okay, really, really fast.
The suspect's mind is now racing. He's caught, and he knows it.
This is getting beyond my control. All right, I came in here a few hours ago, and I called you the way I called you today because I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. But you and I both know you were at Jessica Lloyd's house, and I need to know why.
Williams knows what has to happen now, but he is unable to speak. Perhaps he is relishing the last moments of his life where his secret will be safe. The last moments, where people won't know what he really is. A serial rapist. A psychopath. And a cold-blooded murderer.
I don't know what to say. It's,
Well, you need to explain it, because this is the other problem we're having, Russell, okay? Again, these decisions are made by me. Right now, there's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Ottawa, okay? So your wife now knows what's going on. There's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Tweed, and your vehicle's been seized, okay? You and I both know they're going to find evidence that links you to these situations. Okay. You and I both know that the unknown offender, male on Marie France Comeau's body, is going to be matched to you, quite possibly before the evening's over. Okay? This is a major investigation. The Center of Forensic Science is on call 24 hours a day helping us with this. Your opportunity to take some control here and to have some explanation that anybody is going to believe is quickly expiring. Okay? We're applying, the investigators now applying for a warrant to search your office. Right, these aren't decisions that we can say yes or no to. This is the practical steps in an investigation like this. And Russell, listen to me for a second, okay? When that evidence comes in, when that DNA match, when that phone rings and somebody knocks on this door, your credibility is gone, okay? Because this is how credibility works, all right? And I know you're an intelligent person and you probably don't need to hear this explanation, but I also know your mind's racing right now, okay? Because I've sat across a lot of people in your position over the years, okay? the bottom line is that as soon as we get that piece of evidence that solidifies it, DNA, okay, as soon as the expert in footwear impressions, the expert in tire impressions calls and says, yes, I've examined those and they're a match, it's all over. Because as soon as that happens, where's your credibility? Where's your believability? What are we going to do? Russell, you know there's only one option. What other option is there?
What's the option?
Well, I don't think you want the cold-blooded psychopath option. I might be wrong. Okay, because don't get me wrong, I've met guys who actually kind of enjoyed the notoriety, got off on it, got off on having that label. Bernardo being one of them. I don't see that in you. If I saw that in you, I wouldn't be back in here talking to you, quite frankly. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you got me fooled. I don't know. This is over. And it can have a bad ending where Jessica's parents continue to wonder where her daughter's lying. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's a huge search still underway, and it'll continue. It'll continue until her body's found. That might even happen tonight, for all I know. Once that happens, then I don't know what other cards you would have to play. Russell, what are we going to do?
Call me Russ, please.
Okay.
Asking the investigator to call him Russ is the first indication that Williams is ready to confess. All the lies, all the secrets, have finally caught up to Russell Williams. Perhaps he was thinking about all the photographs he had stashed away. Or perhaps the video of Marie-France Comeau's final breaths, which Williams recorded, being recovered from his wife's brand new dream home.
Is Jessica somewhere we can find her easily? Like, is this something where I can make a call and tell somebody to go to a location and they're going to find her, or is this something where we have to go and take a walk? Which direction are we heading in here? Russ, maybe this would help. Can you tell me what the issue is you're struggling with? What's the issue you're struggling with?
hard to believe this is happening.
Why is that? Why is it hard to believe?
It's just hard to believe. My only two immediate concerns from a perception perspective are what my wife must be going through right now
Yeah.
and the impact this is going to have on the Canadian Forces.
Where do we go? Russ, is there anything you want from me? Is there anything you want me to explain? Is there something missing that you're struggling with that I can shed some light on for you?
I'm struggling with how upset my wife is right now.
Russ, what are you looking for?
I'm concerned that they're tearing apart my wife's brand new house.
So am I. But if nobody tells them what's there and what's not, they don't have any choice. Computers will be brought to Microsoft in California. They'll be picked apart. You can't erase things from computers. It doesn't happen. I'm sure you've seen that. I'm sure that's pretty common knowledge these days. It just doesn't happen. They sell programs that to try and help people clean their computers of stuff, and our guys are pulling that stuff out all the time. The FBI is pulling that stuff out all the time. This investigation will end up costing no less than $10 million. Easy. They will say no to nothing. Any request this major case manager makes on this case, they've already been told it's approved. Don't even bother asking. What am I doing, Russ? I put my best foot forward here for you, bud. I really have. I don't know what else to do to make you understand the impact of what's happening here. Did we talk?
I want to minimize the impact on my wife.
So do I.
So how do we do that?
Well, we start by telling the truth.
Okay.
Where is she?
Get him out.
Which town is she near? Why don't we start there?
I'm not sure if you give me a map of it covers Calagar down to the highway and over to Tweed and south. I'll show you.
Let me see what I got here. I might have something. Probably the biggest area I have there, Russ.
Yeah, you need more. You need a real map.
So where am I going on here to get to her?
In this block here.
Okay. So you're pointing to.
A detailed map of that area, and I'll show you where she is.
Okay. Is she close to a road?
Yep.
All right. Is it something where is she buried, or is she somewhere where if you walk there you would fairly easily see her?
It's here.
Okay. So she's south of 7, east of Tweed, west of 41. And what's this road here?
Not sure.
Neither am I. Okay. I'll be right back, okay? Do you want any water or anything?
Sure.
Okay, I'll be right back. How long has she been there for?
A little over a week.
Was it fairly quick from the time she left?
Friday night.
Friday night?
Yep.
So where was she between Thursday night and Friday night?
In Tweed.
With you?
Yep.
How long was she alive for?
Almost 24 hours, not quite.
Okay. Russ? You're doing the right thing here. Okay.
Well, again, my interest is in making my wife's life a little easier. And
Okay.
her family as well.
Well, we share that
But
interest.
there's no, your time in Ottawa is wasted, really. I'll tell you where the memory stick cards are.
Where are they?
They're in the house there, but
In Ottawa?
yeah.
Whereabouts?
Some in the camera bag, which they would have found in my office.
Mm-hmm.
And when you walk into the office on the left side, there's a desk of drawers, set
Okay.
of drawers, like a filing cabinet, wooden, IKEA. In one of the top 2 drawers, and there's a plastic divider.
Yeah.
And there's inside there are 2 memory cards,
Okay.
which are blank, but I'm sure they can be
And whose images are on those cards?
well, I've erased them, but I expect you'll be able to draw images of Jessica and I.
What about Marie?
There may be images on there as well.
And the 2 women from September?
Yep.
Okay. Do you have those images stored anywhere else?
Yeah, there are 2 hard drives in the house in Ottawa. I can draw you a little picture if you like.
Sure. Do you want to do that now while I'm getting them out? Okay. Do you want anything to eat or anything? Leave that with you. Okay. Sure.
But I do want to talk to you, Jim.
That's the plan. Okay. I'll be right back. How you make it up there? Thank you. Okay, make it up. Somebody running around looking for an actual map, but I did the same thing with the Google Maps. Just have to blew them up a little bit more. This is the biggest of the area. This might have better parameters for you. Here's Tweed.
From this intersection on this side of the road.
And what road is that? Cary? No. South of, can't read that word. East Hungerford? Does that make sense? Oh, there it is there. Okay. How far off the road is she?
40 feet.
Is she covered with anything?
She's wrapped up.
In
She's
what?
on the surface. Just a gray something or other cover.
Okay. Barry, the obvious question I'm going to have for you is, when they go there, and they'll be there shortly, they're going to find her?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'll be right back. You look like you want to say something.
Just that this place, my wife, it's been a dream for the better part of a year, so I'm keen to get them what they need and so they can leave her alone.
Okay. Well, we're going to do our best to keep that as low-key as possible, okay? What do you want to talk about?
It's pretty wide open now, eh?
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Coming up next,
Why don't we start with Jessica?
Williams reveals the horrifying details of his crimes.
I was hiding behind the furnace. She actually discovered me in the basement, raped her in her house, suffocated her. Some tape, strangled her. Her skull gave way.
Why do you think these things happen?
Stay tuned for part 2 of Russell Williams, The Cozy Cove Creeper.